From the Tennessee State Tigers, where he starred as OVC Player of the Year, to stops in the NFL with the Falcons and the Titans, and finally to spring football as a Philly star, and now a wide receiver and returner for the DC Defenders. Welcome to Springball Boulevard, Chris Rowland. Thanks for joining us tonight, Chris.
Appreciate you for having me, Matty.
Of course, and I know this week we're focusing on Birmingham, and we will get to them. But you made a play last week with about 2 minutes to go that ignited a double-digit comeback win. And you also scored earlier in the game, in the first half, and you also made a couple big plays against Houston. So what has it been like to kind of introduce yourself to this DC Defender fan base?
Man, it's like any new guy coming to a team, you really have to earn your stripes. Wherever you go, you can't just walk in and expect things to be handed to you. So it's taking some time to progressively, make my way into the offense. But it's been awesome, man. Under Fred Keiss's offense, I kind of ran, a similar offense to that at Tennessee State. And so each week, I get more and more comfortable. And, as you get more comfortable, you tend to make more plays. But, just looking forward to the many more opportunities we have this season to introduce myself to the DC fan base, to know, what Chris Rowland is really about. So, it's just pretty exciting. I'm just looking forward to more.
Yeah, when I heard the news about what Coach Keiss had gone through, I just immediately, they're not losing. I mean, they can't lose now, right? Like you put on a show for Coach Keiss, who had the most adversity that I think I had ever heard someone go through, and be able to get back as quick as he did. There was no chance you guys were losing that game, right?
Right. Coach Keiss, he's a warrior, especially with what he went through out the whole week. He had surgery on, I want to say, Tuesday or Wednesday, and he was back, I think, a day later, with his hood on. You could just tell, even though he had surgery, all he was thinking about was, ball in the game plan. So, that kind of shows his dedication he has, for this sport and what, this sport has done for him, and he gives that same effort to give it back. So, it was really, inspiring to see him, come back after dealing with something, that potentially could have ended his life. And, it was only right that we as a team had to rally behind that.
Yeah, to kind of follow up on your individual performance against Arlington, that was the kind of game that could have put you on the radar for something like a Player of the Week. Now, for those who don't know, you are a representative of the UFLPA union, which negotiated player bonuses with the league in the offseason. It was kind of similar to the $1,000 win bonus that the XFL had going last year. You guys had something in there for a Player of the Week bonus at $1,000 a week, and some other season-long accolades to be handed out at the conclusion of the year. So the league hasn't been announcing these the first few weeks, and we find out that the union has filed a grievance against that. Where are we at now with all this, and what do you expect to be kind of the resolution here?
Well, as the UFLPA, we always, do our best to, support the players and just provide answers. But as of now, we're kind of at a roadblock with how, league operations is handling everything right now. I can't really touch too much on it, but as far as, the Player of the Weeks, we're going to work, our butt offs to get that situated. But as of right now, it's just on, the guys that are at the top of the league right now. And it's just, when we went into negotiating that, that was something that we felt like, was a win for us as players. But as you get down into, contracts and stuff, you have to really get your verbiage correct. So there was some stuff that, that wasn't really done quite right. But, as a union, we're figuring it out. And, guys that are, all the players that are on the board, we're conversating, every other day, hey, what can we do to make this better? So no right answer right away right now, but, that's something that, we'll have for you in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I've been impressed. There certainly has been a few things that, when you look at what the union negotiated, have been the case so far this season. Unfortunately, that wasn't one of them, but for the most part, it seems like the union made a little bit of an impact when it comes to changing what the players would get in compensation.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, so let's shift the focus back to you a little bit here. There's a Tennessee State DC Defenders connection here that maybe not a lot of people know about with Shannon Harris, who the quarterback coach in DC was your former offensive coordinator in college. Uh, why didn't you play last year for DC, man? We could have used you around here for this championship run now.
That's a funny story, actually. I was, you know, obviously the USFL was going on last year while the XFL season was going, and Shannon they gave me a call that off season about potentially making the jump from the USFL to the XFL, but we had some. I felt like I had some unfinished business in the USFL as far as going to the championship game and losing to the Birmingham Stallions. That kind of just lit a fire in my stomach, and that was just something I felt like I couldn't walk away from at the time, and especially the teammates I had for the Philly Stars and that coaching staff. So that was the main reason why I didn't. But I watched every game last year that DC played. Me and Shannon were in constant contact. Hey, nice game plan this week. I saw the numbers you guys put up, so it was something that was in the making for the last year and a half. So I'm finally made it happen, and I'm excited, to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad that year-long recruiting process worked out because it's great to have you. And that's kind of a good segue into Birmingham this week. We were talking kind of before here about you and Jordan being a few guys who have seen Birmingham. You've seen him a few times. You scored on him in the USFL championship game a couple of years ago. And this is the same John Chavis defense now for the last couple of years. So the downside of that is Birmingham knows all about Chris Rowland, right? You're not going to surprise anybody over there. What's the approach this week offensively to be able to move the ball against them?
Just focused on the main thing, focusing on our keys, not stalling out in drives, and just really, it's us versus us out there, no penalties, getting behind the chains, and just focusing on the next play and putting together positive plays. And really just, our focus this week has just really, hey, we got to get after it. We can't get off to a slow start because, Birmingham is a good team, and everybody knows that. And, when you're going against good teams, you can't just, tiptoe into the Lions' den. You got to go in screaming like a banshee and punch them in the mouth, and that's kind of the approach, we, not just as an offense, but, as a team have going into this week. So.
Yeah, and it's been cool to see you develop a connection with Jordan so early on here. I think it must be that Nashville in common between you guys. But how does this offensive system compare to the one you ran with Philly? And also, does it have similarities to the one Coach Harris ran back at TSU?
Yes, actually, this is the exact offense I ran in college, and when I got back, it was it was kind of like I never left. I felt comfortable in the offense as far as where I'm supposed to be. Certain windows, running routes. So as far as the similarities with that, there's no change from that in college. But the difference between here and Philly, Philly, we were just airing it out. We really didn't have much of a run game. We were pass happy, I would say. And here at DC, we kind of have a pretty good balance between pass and run. But overall, both offenses, I kind of played my role in each. You know what I'm saying? And just week in and week out, like I mentioned earlier, I'm just getting more and more comfortable. That's all. That's all I've been trying to do. Just focus. Hey, just settle down. You've been here before. You've been in this offense. You put up numbers. Just keep doing your thing. And everything will take care of itself. So.
And we talk about utilizing you from an offensive perspective, can also be utilized on special teams. Getting into this kickoff. So the UFL kickoff, something that you were pretty familiar with coming from the USFL. Obviously, we had the news recently that the NFL is going to go ahead and adopt a version of that XFL kickoff. When you look at maybe going to the NFL and what you're going to be utilized before, it seems like talking to guys in your position, maybe a guy like Ja'Cour Pearson, for example, or a Cavante Turpin, right? How you're going to get a look as a return specialist. They're looking for guys who can contribute immediately on special teams. Is this something that you think about now and you think, hey, I want to get some reps on this new NFL-style kickoff? Or would you rather play in the one that you're comfortable with and be able to rip off, returns inside the 35 like you had this past week?
You think about that, and I try not to think so much about, what's next. If you kind of get what I'm saying, I kind of focus on what's now. Yeah, it would be nice to, have a mirrored style as far as special teams, has with the NFL, because, special teams provides jobs for many guys that are on the bubble, to help them be able to feed their family and stuff like that. But as far as kickoff style, if you're asking my opinion, what I think I prefer, I would definitely prefer kicking off from the 25-yard line, how we're doing in the UFL. Because I don't think we get the excitement or the big return that we had last week against Arlington with the old XFL style kickoff. And I feel like the UFL style kickoff, provides, let's not say provides, but helps, guys really showcase their talent as far as, their return ability. Honestly, I kind of think it's unfortunate that the NFL decided to make the switch to the XFL style kickoff because, I feel like that really, takes away a lot of opportunities as far as guys showing their covering abilities, not just returning abilities as well. Because, some guys just are paid to just run down on kickoff. Well, now if you're just 10 yards apart, that kind of really takes away from what you can do overall as a cover player. So that's probably my opinion on that matter.
Yeah, certainly some interesting perspective for a guy who's been returning kicks since college, and a lot of differences in the punt game here too in the UFL, where there's some new rules that it's been kind of tough for punters and punt returners to decide, what to do when you're backed up against your own goal line there. Last question here for you, Chris. I want to ask about your first experience at Audi Field. Were you surprised to see that kind of energy for a spring football game, and what was your overall reaction to your debut there?
I mean, it was dope, man. It was like nothing I've ever experienced as far as, from a spring football standpoint. I was really impressed with Audi Field. I really didn't realize how nice the DC area was, too, just to go along with that. But when I walked onto the field, I was like, man, hey, this is what it's all about. Fans cheering. You got support in the crowd, and it lights that fire in your belly. Hey, look, let me make a play. To go ahead and get the stadium to erupt, and just being there and being able to, do that, make a play, it was just, like nothing I've ever experienced, so far in spring football. I want to say the closest other experience I had would have to been in the USFL championship game when I think we had about maybe 20,000 fans there at the Hall of Fame Stadium. So that would probably be the only other thing that would compare. But that was, a championship game, not the first, regular season home opener. So
yeah, you can always expect Audi Field to bring the juice. Obviously, they got the beer snakes, some really cool traditions going on, and winning helps that. 9-1 season, have not lost in Audi Field in 10 tries, and we count on you guys to keep that tradition going. No, we have St. Louis coming up in 2 weeks, but Birmingham, really, really tough team, as they always have been, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys go out there as 8-point underdogs. Not sure what they're looking at there. Maybe I'm a homer, but hey, sometimes you'd rather have that underdog mentality, right?
yeah, no doubt, man. I would always say I'd rather be an underdog than, be the giant that, everybody's trying to topple. So, like I said, we're putting in the work. We're feeling pretty confident, and I might receive a lot of backlash for saying this. Some people might not agree, but I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. DC by 10. And, that's all I got to say.
Hey, I put my money on it already, so you don't got to tell me. We're all decked out here in Studio Z, getting ready for Defenders and Stallions. That'll be Saturday night primetime in Protective Stadium. That is Chris Rowland, receiver and returner for the DC Defenders. Really appreciate you joining us tonight, Chris.
Appreciate you for having me on, Maddie.